Edward Snowden just revealed a massive vulnerability in Bitcoin that could shake the very foundations of Bitcoin privacy. Is Bitcoin as private as you thought it was? Stay until the finish, because we're about to find out if Big Brother is monitoring our Bitcoin transactions.
Bitcoin transactions are permanent, they are public, and they can be tracked and they can be linked. An enormous proportion of them are fully doxed, just not publicly doxed. And this is because how do people move in and off of sort of the Bitcoin network, any crypto chain really, and it's through the on and off ramps, right? Through these legacy exchanges, and they are sharing the information en masse with what we politely refer to as regulators, but are what are plainly described as great powers. When they have your transaction history, they have your life history. They know what you read, what you buy, who you sent, who you support politically, like where your donations went. They can infer your thinking, they can infer your affiliations. At the NSA, we called the kind of information that was not the details of a conversation, right? Not literally reading like your texts, but simply saying that you texted someone. We called this kind of information metadata. Metadata can be plainly described as activity records. It's the same kind of thing that a private investigator would get if they just followed you around all day. They don't sit behind you at the cafe and hear everything you say because you would wonder, who is this dude following me? But they sit outside in a car on the street. They see that you go in the cafe at this time. They see that you sit at a table with this other person. They sat in a guy to go, who is that person? What's his license plate? Who is he? They know that you met. They get the affiliation. They see you go to work. They see you go to the store afterwards. They don't see every item that you bought, but they see where you shop. And as you pad these things out more and more, you get a more and more complete picture of an entire human life without ever having to go, oh, we need a warrant for this. What held that back? Well, cost. You needed a human analyst to go and sift through this. The metadata could be collected automatically by ingesting the world's internet communications through these machines, right? But somebody still had to put their cup in the big bucket, pull it out, and lay it out on their desk and make sense of it.
Welcome back. I am your chief propagandist, Rustin, reporting in. Now let's break this down. Edward Snowden. Yes, the guy who brought us revelations about NSA domestic and global, warrantless surveillance of the populace. The basic erasure of the Fourth Amendment, privacy, property rights, autonomy. Well, now he's warning us about Bitcoin. And based on his record of showing us all what's really going on behind the curtain, I think it's probably a good idea to pay attention.
Our lives have been increasingly intermediated by screens, by panes of glass. You are watching this either live on stage because you registered through a smartphone, through a laptop, right? Nobody went and sort of bought a ticket at the counter anymore. That's not how the world works these days. But in order to even set that computer up, to turn it on, to log in, to set up your account, to pull the smartphone out of the box, charge it, open it up, connect it to your Wi-Fi access point, you have to click OK to continue. You have to agree to somebody else's terms of service. You are made to pass through gates of permission that are owned and controlled by others that do not answer, frankly, to anybody. You see Facebook, you see Google, you see how they've been abusing the trust of everyone in every country, right? You see the EU tries to get a handle on them. They're completely ignored. There was the GDPR, right? General Data Protection Regulation that was supposed to fix all of these problems, and it didn't work. They say, oh, we'll fine you, 4% of global revenue or whatever if you break the rules. That hasn't happened. Whether we're talking about governments, whether we're talking about corporations, we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the systemization of technologies that are designed to order our lives to the benefit of the institutions. They are trying to organize us to benefit them. In some cases, we want this. We want to be able to cooperate. We want to be able to collaborate. We need to be able to work together. But we have to agree to this in some way. We should need to. And it's not like click OK to continue or say no and use the phone my way, right? It's click OK to continue or you can't use your iPhone. You can't use your Android phone. It doesn't matter whether Samsung makes it, whether Google makes it, whether Apple makes it. You play by their rules or you don't play at all. And that should be changing.
Transparency is great, right? Right? But Snowden's argument is that this transparency can turn into a monetary public peep show. Imagine every single transaction you make being visible to anyone who decides to take a peek.
We have been able to suffer this, right? Again, the game is too good to leave, not because we love it, but because we haven't had a choice. Well, we're running out of time to fix this, and the consequences of ignoring it are about to get a whole lot worse. Nobody sees them. This is not Terminator, right? This is not Skynet. This is not robots descending from the sky to drag you out of your home. That might come someday, but that's a long way off. We're talking about things that are much more banal, but much easier to do. We talk about that concentration of power. These politicians, right? A lot of them probably don't love that they have to come up on this stage and give a dog and pony show to dance for the crowd that is suddenly much more powerful. Well, the people that they have always been answerable to are about to get a much tighter hold on the leash, not just of them, but of everyone. So I want to zoom back out and say, look, the reason that the internet feels broken is because it is reflecting a broken world. It's reflecting the consequences of all of these winner-take-all dynamics. It is reflecting the boundless ambition of these generations of princes. And it has left us with an unfair system, which means an unstable system. Why do I think all of this AI stuff is likely? Well, the reason is that unfair systems produce dissatisfaction and therefore are hard to maintain. Well, the people who want to maintain them are those who benefit the most from them. In the current disequilibrium, they're the ones who have the most resources. They have the ability to influence the status quo the most. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the top spinning for as long as possible without letting it fall over and someone having to write it in a new stage, right? Instead of staying in the same game, even if it's good, we don't want to leave it. We start a new round, right? We start a new game with new rules.
Okay, so we have some privacy technologies that aim to cloak our transactions, but they're not perfect. Snowden's point is that while these tools help, they don't completely solve the problem.
What is it that's wrong with the internet? The thing that's wrong with the internet is what's wrong with the world, because more and more they're one and the same. A system has been constructed around us, not just through administrations, but through generations, that is fundamentally unfair. What do I mean by that? Look at the economy, right? There's an increasing concentration of resources into fewer and fewer hands. So it is now even with the human voice. Winner take all is the model that's apparent on platforms as far as the eye can see. Whether you're talking about broadcast media, whether you're talking about legacy media, whether you're talking about newspapers, whether you're talking about social media, minority opinions are increasingly made to survive at the indulgence of the censor. They're clinging to the edge of the platform by their fingernails. You see truckers in Canada that are getting debanked, and you see students at Columbia are getting de-hired for the things that they express. Now, we don't have to agree with them. We shouldn't necessarily agree with them, but they should have the ability to argue. They should have the ability to persuade. They should have the ability to dissent. And they should have the ability, frankly, to disrupt. That's the thing that makes us progress, right, is the disagreement. If we accept that the system that we inherited is the best that it can possibly be, it shouldn't change, it shouldn't be contested. What we're saying is that we've gone far enough. This point in history is the best, and it's not. We know it's not. Life is still difficult despite the many privileges, despite the many technologies that have blessed us. But somebody made those things happen. Every good thing that you enjoy is the product of someone's labor, the product of someone's effort, the product of someone's ingenuity, the hours of their lives being gifted to us, to the common species. And the system that has been built around us is designed to extract as much of that as possible and return that to the hands of those princes.
We're winning, but we're not out of the woods yet. Not only is Bitcoin the restoration of property rights to 8 billion people, but if we wanted to obfuscate the Patriot Act entirely, bringing the Fourth Amendment to 8 billion people, well, it already can't be stopped. But as Whitney Webb, Mark Goodwin, and the great Edward Snowden remind us, we still have a lot to do, as well as spreading the first principles education. How does it go again? Oh yeah, it's not red versus blue, it's the state versus you.
And so that leaves us with the questions to walk us out of this. The question that we're being confronted with every day, what are you going to do about it? The reality is not much right now. If you're the average person, you're going to post a mean tweet, about somebody you don't like, and then post a picture of yourself looking cool on Instagram and then forget about it. You want to watch your shows, you want to go home, you want to be comfortable, you want to, get dinner, you want to go to bed. You've got a job to do, right? You've got rent to pay. We're all running on a treadmill. And then what? and for what? Right now, we're doing it for the likes. We're trying to get approval. We're trying to get acceptance. We are being driven to compete for attention and for acceptance. We need to start, instead of competing, we need to start cooperating, working together to find our way out of this hole that is not this election, it's not this politician, it's not this policy, it's this system. And that's what Adam Smith was telling us about the year 1776, a powerful year for every American. The internet is broken because institutions are competing against the individual, while the individual is competing against other individuals. We need to shatter that design because competition is everywhere, but it's only against the powerless. We need to look back at the avarice of those princes. Right? And I don't just mean in the context of government. I mean everywhere. I mean, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan. We need to think about the systemic influences on our lives and how we can correct for them. The people who throughout all history had the means to diminish the amount of metals in our coins, which is inflation, simply by a different name. We're not using metal anymore. We're using paper now, but the game is the same. We in this room are using a technology that has taken the metal and the paper away from them. And it is through this single lever that they have set flourishing societies on the path to inevitable poverties. And I just want you to remember, every time you look at the grocery store's prices, that you are not alone. You are not isolated. Everyone in that store is dealing with the same battle that you are. We have to cooperate. We have to work together. And we have to make sure they do not reduce this country to the land of the free and the home of the slave. The only way we will do that is if we work together. So please, by all means, cast your vote, but don't join a cult. There's a lot of work to be done. Thank you.
So what does all this mean for us? It means we have to be vigilant. We love Bitcoin for its decentralization and privacy. We're not just here for number go up. We want freedom go up as well. And nothing is stopping this train.
We are winning, ladies and gentlemen. But we haven't won. And so we have to make sure that we don't get cocky. And I think, unfortunately, that's about the end of the fun part of this talk.
Hey, remember, guys, staying informed is the first step to protecting your generational wealth. And if you're looking to become a master of Bitcoin's self-custody, privacy, sovereignty, probably a good time to head on over to our sponsors, The Bitcoin Way. You're looking to learn how to Bitcoin, how to properly secure your Bitcoin. You might want to head on over to the newly revamped Bitcoin Way website where you can begin your road to Bitcoin sovereignty today. If you're looking to schedule a free 30-minute consultation, go ahead and use that link below in the show notes. Space Monkeys!
Ready to sacrifice himself for greater good.
Click now to see Edward Snowden's shocking 2024 Bitcoin prediction that we are also accelerating towards in a major way. Did you catch the conference? Let us know what your favorite moment was in the comments below. Give us some pep and help us spread the sound money gospel. Stay tuned, and you're gonna want to set those notifications because the best is yet to come. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.
If you prefer to go down with the ship, fuck you.